90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. More money has been made in real estate than in all industrial investments combined. The wise young man or wage earner of today invests his money in real estate. And that is a quote from the late great Andrew Carnegie, who is still to this day one of the richest men in history. Andrew Carnegie died back in 1919, which was over 100 years ago. I believe that this statement is still as true today as it was back then. Top of the top, everybody. It's your boy Show tapping in. Today we're going to talk about the power of real estate. And I'm going to discuss a couple strategies that you can use to get in the game, even as a beginner. Real estate has abundantly changed my family's financial future just over the last 4 years since I got in the game. And I want to bring you along for the ride. And there have been some bumps on the road, some roadblocks, some setbacks, but I am still actively seeking and creating more and more opportunities every day to continue investing in real estate and reach my family's financial freedom goals. Because we know that when it's time for us to retire, we're going to do so from real estate, from rental properties, from seller finance properties, from cash flow that we've made through wholesaling and other ways that we're going to talk about today. All right, but enough talking. Let's break down those strategies. All right, so the first strategy we're going to talk about today is wholesaling real estate. Wholesaling is a very popular term. A lot of people wholesale real estate. Some people might even say that the space is very saturated. I beg to differ. I didn't get my start in wholesaling real estate until January of 2020. That's right before the pandemic, I jumped into wholesaling real estate with no prior experience, no knowledge, just hearing on YouTube exactly what you're doing right now, that this could generate very large checks, 5-figure, 6-figure checks without me ever having to even own the real estate or do any remodeling. So when I heard that, I was like, sounds good, but can this really be done? And here I am in 2023. I've created a whole business. This is my company, Homefordable. We're here in Dallas, Texas. If you know anybody looking to sell real estate, give me a call. We do pay referral fees, all right? But back to the video. So wholesaling real estate is basically selling your interest in the property, okay? So in simple terms, let's say I find John. John just got divorced. He needs to sell his house really fast, but he doesn't want to work with a realtor because the house needs a lot of repairs. He needs to sell it really fast because him and his wife are divorcing. He needs to move out of town in the next 2 weeks. So he needs the speed and convenience of working with an investor for a cash sale, okay? I speak to John. John's house can be worth $250,000 if it's fully remodeled up to 2023 standards. But since John hasn't done any updates in the last 10 years, his plumbing is out of whack. He needs a new roof. There are foundation issues. It needs a full cosmetic rehab in the inside. So for those reasons, and because I can get the property sold for him in 20 days or less, get him cash. He doesn't have to pay any realtor commissions or any closing costs associated with the property. He's willing to work with me and give me a really good price that's under market value in exchange for speed and convenience, all right? Me and the seller sign an agreement. He agrees to sell the property to me for $100,000, all right? After he signs the agreement with me for $100,000, I go out and find a cash buyer or an end buyer, someone who will fix and flip the property, and they may be willing to pay me $130,000 for the property because when they put $50,000 into the remodel, they know they can sell it for $250,000. So if they buy it from me for $130,000 and put $50,000 in, they're in at $180,000 and they can resell for $250,000. So I can make money, they can make money. The seller gets the money he needs and he gets a quick, fast closing, is able to get the cash, settle his divorce, and go on about his life, right? That is how wholesaling works. And so after I get the contract signed with the seller, then I simply assign my right to purchase the property to the end buyer. I got it under contract for $100,000 and I assign it to my end buyer for $130,000, then I make the $30,000 in the middle once the deal closes. All I did was get a contract signed. I never had to take ownership of the property, so I never closed on it in my name or my business name. I never had to show any type of credit. I never had to have any cash in the bank to show I have the cash to buy this house. I simply was able to market to the seller. I was able to negotiate with the seller. I was able to get the closing done quick, 20 days or less is my business model. I was able to purchase the house with the seller paying no closing costs or no realtor commissions. So essentially, he was able to walk away with exactly what I offered, minus any taxes that may have been owed on the property. Last but not least, the seller did not have to do any repairs to the property. I am able to pick it up exactly how it is. That is wholesaling in a nutshell, guys. All I'm doing is finding sellers who need to sell their house fast for whatever that reason may be. And there are tons of reasons. I even have other videos on what those motivational reasons may be. And then I find the end buyer who will fix and flip the property. And finding an end buyer is the easy part if you get a good deal, because there are tons of investors out here. You just don't know them because you're not in the space yet. That's how I'm able to make $30,000 or more sometimes on a deal, simply by assigning my rights to purchase the property without having to do any physical labor. Now, the pros of wholesaling real estate are: don't need a license. There is very low entry cost to get started. You don't have to have any prior experience. You can make large 5-6-figure checks by simply assigning your rights to a property. And lastly, it's very minimal or low risk. Now, the cons of wholesaling real estate: there's a lot of competition or saturation in the market. This is a numbers game, all right? So you have to talk to a lot of people to find that one person who will not only sell you their property, but sell it to you for under market value, okay? This is a numbers game, guys. You have to talk to a lot of people to find that needle in the haystack, which also means there is a lot of rejection. You have to talk to a lot of people and weed out those people who are just tire kickers, who will never do business with you, who want way more money than their house is even worth, or they just simply don't even have the motivation to sell it, let alone sell it for under market value. Or there are constant adjustments in the real estate market, okay? And that goes with wholesaling as well. So there may be constant adjustments with how you can market to these sellers, what your script is, what your strategy is, and how you approach them. You have to constantly change the way you negotiate, the way you run your numbers and make your offers. And now there are other ways like creative finance that you have to now implement because there's so much competition. But regardless of that, I don't say that to discourage you guys. I'm just letting you know, with anything that sounds too good to be true, there will be pros and cons. I just want to share both sides of the spectrum with you guys before you try to get involved with wholesaling real estate, but it's definitely something you can get into. You can wholesale vacant land, you can wholesale residential properties, you can wholesale commercial properties, you can wholesale any type of real estate there is. I have an associate who sent the email the other day. They're wholesaling a 7-Eleven gas station, guys. Yes, you can make a lot of money wholesaling deals if you know how to reach out to these sellers, negotiate with them, and get them under contract. There's reward in that risk, my friends. The second strategy, which is probably the most popular, is fix and flipping homes. All right. Now, although I wholesale most of the deals, me and my wife, we buy deals from my wholesale company and we fix and flip them. All right. That's how we are able to create another stream of income in our household. Fix and flip is exactly how it sounds. You buy a house, you fix it, meaning you remodel it or update it, and then you flip it. You put it on the market and you sell it for more than what you paid for it. Simple. Now, the pros for fix and flip: just like wholesaling, you can make very large checks. You get to beautify ugly properties and create value in certain neighborhoods, which is a part that I really like. I love going into a neighborhood, seeing a house that is completely run down, put money into that property and turn it into something beautiful that new homeowners are going to really appreciate living in. There are also tax benefits to fixing and flipping properties. Now, the cons to fix and flipping: how well you can do really heavily depends on your contractor and the relationship you're able to build around that. Right? A lot of people have had really bad experiences with contractors. Some people even say that con starts contractors for a reason, because a lot of these people will take your money, not complete the work, take your money and use it on other projects, take your money, go ghost on you, take your money and do horrible work. Now you have to repay for a remodel. I've seen it all. I actually experienced that in my last remodel. Bought a property at a very good price. Had a rehab budget of about $70,000. paid my contractor out that $70,000 as he was progressing through the property, got to the end, and then he brought a lot of complaints and concerns that he had with the property, got to telling me things he wasn't able to do, how he spent more money trying to get around the problem instead of attacking it head on. And what ended up happening was I had to get rid of him, bring in a whole new contractor, and repay that same $70,000 for the new contractor to re-go over everything and beautify it, all right? So what was once a $70,000 budget for this fix and flip became a $140,000 budget for this fix and flip. And that's what happens when you do not monitor your projects as often as you should. And that was also my fault, not just the contractor. If you get in the fix and flip, I suggest going by your property at least 2 to 3 times per week to check the progress and the status, see what's going on, talk to your contractor, point things out, ask questions, get more involved if you are fixing and flipping a property. And that's kind of one of the cons as well, because you have to be a lot more hands-on when it comes to fix and flip properties. It's not as hands-off as wholesaling. Another con is just like wholesaling, there are lots of market shifts, but it affects you a little different if you're fixing and flipping, because a fix and flip can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, sometimes more, again, depending on the property, depending on the transaction, and depending on the contractor, all right? So you could buy this house in January expecting it to resell for $300,000, but if it doesn't get completed until August and the market values go down, now you've spent this money expecting to sell the house for $300,000, and it can maybe only sell for $290 or $280 now. Now that's only $10,000 to $20,000 difference, but when you get to realizing all the fees associated with fix and flip properties, that $10,000 to $20,000 will make a very big difference. Okay, so the market shifting is something we cannot control, and it's just a risk you have to take when fixing and flipping properties. Other cons are it could be very high risk because there are a lot of moving pieces when it comes to fixing and flipping properties. Again, you have the contractor. Even if you walk the property initially and inspect it before buying it, there's always something that comes back up once the contractor actually gets to digging inside the property, all right? That could be the plumbing, that could be an electrical problem, that could be termites. You never know what it could be. It's always something hiding, a little surprise for you in those fix and flip properties. That's why it's so necessary for you to purchase your properties at a very deep discounted price so you can leave room for error. There will always be an error. There will always be an uncalculated cost or expense during the fix and flip property. You got to have room in your budget for mistakes. They're coming. The next strategy we're going to talk about is rental properties, becoming a landlord. A rental property is just as it seems. This is a property that you buy. Sometimes they're already in move-in ready condition, depending on how you source the property. Sometimes you still have to rehab or remodel or fix and flip your rental property, but instead of reselling it on the market, you keep it and you put a renter in the property who will pay your mortgage and also something on top that allows you to cash flow and make money month after month, passive income. This can be a single family home, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, small apartment buildings, large apartment buildings. It doesn't matter. They're all pretty much rental properties. Rental properties is a great way to build wealth. Again, like I stated at the beginning of the video, that is me and my wife's plan to build up a portfolio of 50 plus rentals, rent them out over the next 30 years. When we turn 60, we'll just cash out on them and go and live our lives, in addition to other investments and other cash flow that we have coming in. And a good thing about rentals is you don't always have to purchase them traditionally and put a mortgage in place, because there is something we like to call creative finance that allows you to do things like seller finance properties, all right? This is, let's say someone is selling a property and they do not have a mortgage on it, all right? Let's say they want $130,000, but if you gave them $130,000 cash or got a mortgage for $130,000, the property could not cash flow like you needed to in order for the investment to make sense for you. So what you do instead is create a seller finance note. This is where the seller becomes the bank and you put your own mortgage in place. All right. Now that's a different strategy. I won't deep dive too deep into that, but that was actually my first ever real estate deal. My mother-in-law had a property with tenants. She wanted to get rid of it. We could not get the cash price she was offering, but somebody offered to sell or finance the house and the terms were great. So we did that. And that was actually my intro into real estate investing. Before I ever even did my first wholesale property, my mother-in-law believed in me. My mother-in-law is also one of my private money investors for my deals. I love my mother-in-law. If you see this video, we love you, Anna. Thank you very much. Now, the pros to having rental properties, you can have passive income, meaning checks that come to you every month without you having to do physical work. You get to build wealth and cash flow. So when I say build wealth, what I'm talking about is the equity, all right? Because again, like I mentioned, when you get a rental property, you typically have a mortgage in place. Let's say you have a $100,000 house. Your mortgage every month for the house is $500, but you can put a renter in the house who will pay $1,000 a month. So now you're paying your mortgage, insurance, and all of that. That's getting paid down month after month, and you're still taking home a couple $100 even after your mortgage is getting paid. So if you have renters in there for 10, 20, 30 years, they would have been to have paid off your whole mortgage, and now you have a house that's free and clear that you never even had to pay the mortgage on. And in addition to the renters paying off your mortgage, you also made a couple $100 extra every month that you had in passive income or cash flow, all right? That's how you generate real wealth, guys. Another pro for rental properties are there are very great tax benefits when you have rental properties, all right? I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax attorney, so I won't get into that. But if you start getting rental properties, you'll start to see what I'm talking about. The cons for owning rental properties, you have to be a landlord, all right? So unless you have a property management company in place who is managing your properties, then that means you are responsible if the toilet breaks in the middle of the night. If there is a faucet leak in the middle of the night, who are those tenants gonna call? They're gonna call you because they don't own the house, you do, and they're paying you every month. So essentially, you have the same responsibility for that house that, you know, if you were living in an apartment and something happened, you will call the office and say, hey, this is happening. I need to put in a maintenance request. That's pretty much the same exact situation. If you own a property, except for the maintenance request goes right to you. So you're pretty much having to maintain an extra property in addition to your personal home. Another con that I see happen all too often is your tenants turn bad on you. They get in, they fill out the application. They're such a loving family. Their kids, their little dog, you know, they're so nice to you. They say all the right things. They show you their paycheck stubs. Their credit is good. They got this good history. And then after 3 months, they lose their job. They stop paying you your rent. They don't want to leave the house. They force you to take them to eviction court. You know, they mistreat your house. They stain the carpet. They punch holes in the wall. You never know what's going to happen, all right, when you deal with these tenants. They might take your refrigerator, take your appliances. You just never know how the tenant situation is going to work out. You want to do your best to vet them, but honestly, you just never know how people are going to treat you when something doesn't go their way. Last but not least, you have to prepare for vacancy, all right? Because though we want to have tenants in the house constantly who pay down our mortgage and then pay us cash flow every month, sometimes, you know, your tenants, they move on, they grow up, they want to become homeowners themselves. So they no longer have the need to rent the property from you. So, you know, the lease is over, they move out, and now you're having trouble finding another tenant, but you still got to pay that mortgage, all right? So you have to also consider vacancy costs when you're thinking about rental properties, guys. Now, when it comes to deciding what type of investment strategy you want to go with or what works best for you, then you really want to be able to set some goals, all right? Do you just want cash flow right now, money that's coming in, big checks, you know what I'm saying, transaction after transaction? Then you might be looking to get into wholesale real estate if you have the time and capacity to do so. Now, if you want cash flow month after month, passive income, then you might want to look into getting rental properties. Now, if you want to build a portfolio, get a lot of experience in real estate and contracting and things like that, then you may want to be a fix and flipper. If you want to take something that's ugly, turn it into something beautiful and provide it for the next family to live in and create happiness for someone else's family, you may want to fix and flip properties. Now, all of these ways can generate income for you. You just need to decide, do you want money now? Do you want money in a couple months? Or do you want money in the long term? All right, which would be rental properties. All real estate transactions are different. Every property is different, all right? But here are a couple key takeaways that y'all can take with you that apply no matter where you buy or how you buy. It's important to know that you make money in real estate when you buy the property, not when you sell it. So that means anytime you buy real estate, you want to try to get it at a discount for under market value, all right? That is why wholesaling is so valuable. Even if you do want to fix and flip or get rental properties, you can start with wholesaling because it's such a low entry cost, and then you can cherry pick your own deals. That's exactly what I do. I built a wholesaling company, and me and my wife pick deals that we want to fix and flip, and we pick deals that we want to keep as rentals. You also want to make sure you always have an attorney review and approve any purchase agreements or any type of contracts that you use when buying or selling real estate. If you are in Texas, I have a link in my description that is a wholesale quick kit that has all of my contracts that I use in my business, which have been attorney approved. I suggest that you always physically see the property, okay? Do not buy property sight unseen. Now, I know some people who go to the auction steps and buy properties without seeing the interior. I don't do that. I would never do that because I see so many properties and you just never know what to expect. Even if a seller tells you, oh, my house is in great condition, I just remodeled this or I did that, you don't know what that means to them. Great condition to them and great condition to you will mean two totally different things. Make sure you lay eyes on the property before buying. Always use a title company, okay? You must use a title company or a real estate attorney to make sure that you are getting a clear title and a good deed to the property, all right? Do not do quick claim deeds. Don't do it. So there y'all have it, y'all. Just 3 quick strategies that you can implement as a beginner into real estate. Now, we'll bring out other videos where I'll kind of break these down more granular. Now, if you look in my videos, most of my videos regarding real estate are about wholesaling real estate because that is what I have built my company on. So there's a lot of free game and gems just in my channel regarding wholesaling real estate, all right? Now, later this week, I will do a video on how you can get financing to implement these strategies, whether that be rental properties or fix and flips. I will drop videos to show you guys how you can get financing for investment properties, even as a beginner. And I definitely encourage you guys to take action and get involved in real estate. Do more research, do more due diligence. I just wanted to give you guys some surface level information today. If you got any value from this video at all, please give me a like. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Share with a friend, maybe somebody who may become a business partner with you here soon if you guys want to invest in real estate together. But definitely keep tapping in, man. Like I said, more videos on the way to break this down for you guys. I want as many people as possible to get involved in real estate investing. Hopefully that's you. Hopefully you're next. Until the next video, y'all, tap in.